Moving on to our picks for week 5. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are 7.5-point favorites at home against the Elks on Thursday. These two teams met in week 1 when the Riders won 17-13 on the strength of a late game goal line stand. Who do you have in this one as Edmonton tries to avoid falling to 0-5?
Yikes. I've got the Elks against the spread, the Riders straight up. I don't love taking Edmonton because I did it a week ago and looked like a complete idiot in the nation's capital. Thank you, Jared. Don't teach me how to daggy anymore, okay? Stick with Taylor Cornelius. Let him ride this out a little bit. He's the guy you paid all that money to in the offseason, at the end of last season, Chris Jones. I'll take the Elks and the points, but fellas, I am not liking it all that much. It just seems like the smart play.
To me, I think the best buy here is honestly the under. Both teams have a bunch of injuries along the offensive line. Josiah St. John is out. The Elks will be starting rookie Philip Grahovac at left guard. For the Riders, Brandon Council is in at left tackle again after Gerald Hawkins underwent what is likely season-ending surgery. I like the Elks in this one against the spread because I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to be close. But as always, the Elks should probably lose this game. So I'll take the Riders straight up.
Yeah, all those injuries in Saskatchewan certainly scare me, and this is a big line. But this is the Edmonton Elks we're talking about, guys. Every time they've been given an opportunity to lose, they do not disappoint in that matter. This offensive line is horrid. It does not matter who is under center. Take Saskatchewan and take those points.
The Blue Bombers are 8-point favorites against the Stampeders on Friday, where the clubs will meet at IG Field. Mark and Michelle is expected to suit up for the Stamps ball. Reggie Begelton also appears to be making his return to Calgary's receiving corps. Can Winnipeg cover another big spread? Hodge, you got your fork and knife and napkin out?
No, I don't. I am taking the points here. I'm not willing to eat that big spread. I still think Winnipeg's going to win this game. But the Stampeders have historically been good coming off of bye weeks. They've got two big pieces in the receiving core that was very depleted before the bye. And these two teams played 3 times. Granted, the Bombers swept them last year, but they were all very close games. To me, these are two teams that play each other tight. I like Calgary's coaching staff, so I am picking Winnipeg straight up, but I am taking Calgary. To me, this spread is too fat. This spread should be something more like Calgary +5. Anything over that, I'm absolutely on the Stampeders as far as the spread goes.
Hodge and I are of one mind. This is too big a line for me to feel comfortable taking the Bombers to cover. I am not a fan of the current Calgary Stampeders. I don't think Jake Maier has what it takes to be an elite winning quarterback in the league right now, but he's going to have a few more weapons back. And traditionally, these two teams have had some exciting duels going back to last season. I think the Stampeders cover and the Bombers win.
Ryan Valentine, our Calgary contributor, would say something, Dave Dickinson off a bye week, something. And I think there's a little something to it. So I'm going to side with you guys to make it a clean sweep. Stampeders plus the points, but Winnipeg gets it done at home. And even though Mark and Michelle's back, he doesn't have a rapport with Jake Maier. He was used to catching passes from Bo Levi Mitchell, so that's going to take some time. It's great that Reggie Begelton's back in the lineup, but I do foresee, like you guys, a close game. Take the points with the peg.
The Tiger Cats are short favorites over the Redblacks on Saturday, where Hamilton will look to get their first win of the season. Jeremiah Mazzoli is making his much-anticipated return for Ottawa in what will surely be an emotional game against his former club. Who you like in this one?
I like the Redblacks, and I think the line is sort of telling you the fact that Ottawa should maybe be a little heavier favorites or at least short favorites in this game. Jeremiah Masoli coming back, I think from a leadership standpoint, is going to infuse a bunch of energy into this team. And even if he plays solid football, the Redblacks can win this game. So I like Ottawa going into Hamilton, who has all kinds of issues, discipline just one of them with Orlando Steinauer's group.
To me, this is a joke that the Ticats are getting points in this one. -2 as of this recording. I'm expecting, especially with the news of Jeremiah Masoli being back, this line is going to move consistently from when we are recording this. If you can get the Redblacks plus anything, I would take that. And in fact, I would also take them on the money line. I don't think that the Redblacks should be massive favorites here for the reasons we mentioned earlier in the show. Jeremiah Masoli's first game in a year, all of that. But the Redblacks are definitely the buy here, at least in my opinion.
Is Vegas looking at a different Hamilton Tiger Cats team than we are? Because this does not make any sense to me that they be favored against anybody except maybe the Edmonton Elks, of course. Ottawa is the pick here, and they're the pick, even if this line were to shift where they're plus or -5 favorites. I think they are the better team here. Jeremiah Masoli just makes them better. Hamilton has some serious things that they need to figure out right now.
The BC Lions are 7.5-point favorites against the Montreal Alouettes on Sunday at BC Place Stadium. Both teams are coming off one-sided losses that saw their previously perfect records marred by a loss. Cody Fajardo threw a back-breaking interception in the red zone for the Owls, while Vernon Adams Jr. threw 6 picks in his team's loss to the Argos. What team bounces back this week and why?
It's the Lions, and let's be frank about this. The Montreal Alouettes going into their game last week against Winnipeg, it was all the questions were about whether that 2-0 record was for real because of the opponents they had faced up until that point. Well, it turns out it wasn't for real. They got their butts kicked against a team that BC manhandled the week previous. Now, Winnipeg is a very good football team, don't get me wrong, but I think the Lions are just as good, and I just don't see the Montreal Alouettes matching up well against them. VA is going to protect the football for a change, and the Lions are going to cruise to victory. I'm eating all the points this week.
JC, you didn't learn a lesson after last week, did you? When I told you that it was a prime spot for a letdown for the Lions, and they lost on the road in Toronto. I don't care if you want to wipe away the 6 picks from big play VA, who was actually a big play for the Argos defense. So I actually like the Montreal Alouettes in this game because I think they played the Winnipeg Blue Bombers somewhat closely. The defense kept them in that game, and if Cody Fajardo could have just found some way, any form or fashion, to get his offense into the end zone, that game could have been really intriguing. So I like what the Alouettes have going on. I can't even believe I'm saying that, fellas, but I'll take the points, even though it's Montreal going all the way out to the West Coast, and the Lions are in a prime bounce-back spot. But I like the points because I don't think BC should be that heavy of a favorite over an underrated Owls team.
The Alouettes have not won in Vancouver since 2015, and that type of trip is hard to make at the best of times. Against a highly motivated BC Lions, I think is darn near impossible to go in there and get a win. So I am picking the Lions to cover this wide spread. I do think the Alouettes are better than we gave them credit for maybe this past week, but I don't think they're as good as their 2-0 start. I'm taking the Lions to win this one in a one-sided affair.